welcome to Phone Talk Radio. Well, I think me and you had this conversation once before about shooting, or maybe it was with somebody else, extra footage and stuff and wraparounds and B-roll and just, safety shots and things like that. I think that would be, if you ever do anything, do many different versions of it, because you never know that's what a lot of directors, Brian DePalma with Scarface and Jerome Robbins with a lot of his movies, even though he was a dancer and a choreographer, he's also a director. But he would shoot, they said it drive like the producers in the studio is crazy, because he would both of them would blow out of the budget on shooting all these scenes, because maybe somebody said, hey, what about if we try this? Or he said, oh, let's try this, try this, instead of just sticking with one thing. But, as an artist and stuff, you start seeing stuff like, oh, yeah, well, maybe that does look good. Or maybe we'll just shoot a little bit of it, and after a while there's a movie. I saw the movie, actually. I can't think of the name of it. Bob Newhart was in it. I think Steve McQueen. It's like at the end of the movie, it's a war movie. They just go into war, and then the screen goes dark, like just black, because they ran out of money for the budget, and they went over budget, and they wouldn't get any more money for it, so they just went into black, and then the credits rolled.
Wow. Okay, that's we got to find the name of that movie, because that is really interesting. But
I read about the movie. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I step over you. I read about the movie, then I finally saw it. It was a black and white movie, and Bob Newhart was a comedian and a comic actor. He's the one who was doing the interview of it, and I actually saw the movie, but I have to find the movie. I don't remember the movie if it was good or not. I think it was good. I think I liked it because I like stuff like that. But yeah, I would definitely find out the name of the movie for you later on when I get home on the computer. I'll look it up for you. But he was saying about it, and I was like, oh wow, and nobody knows unless somebody told the backstory. And I'm like, this is cool. So just because you run out of budget or something goes black or whatever, doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because people will look at it and say, oh, okay, that's the way they wanted to do it, or wow, I like that ending. And, I mean, if me and you do a movie, I don't know if we're going to have any budget. So,
right, yeah, I know.
Because on Facebook I'm on this, I'm in this group, Low Budget Filmmaking and Indie Filmmaking, and there was somebody from Jersey was in it, in the group, and he said he does the guerrilla shooting or something, no permits, no this and that, and blah, 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 and everybody's stressing, even if you're doing, if you're shooting in somebody's house or something, they said you should get permits and you should get insurance.
Oh, yeah, definitely those two.
I know, but it's hard, though, man. I mean, you're an independent person. How much is insurance? I mean, if it was even for somebody like me and you, $400 is a lot, even if it was that cheap, it's like, how do we screen that?
Okay, the insurance, I've looked into different things, and I don't know 100%, but the insurance, generally, I have seen insurance that's affordable, that's not crazy expensive. But the other thing I was going to say is that when it comes to the movie not having an ending, it reminds me a little bit, too. I don't know if you've ever seen probably the best documentary on behind the scenes of making a movie and everything that can happen. In my opinion, is that movie Hearts of Darkness, which is about Apocalypse Now. And it basically is behind the scenes of the shooting of Apocalypse Now. And if you should watch the documentary, because it is amazing. It's almost more interesting than the movie. Because it's while they're shooting, he doesn't have an ending. Marlon Brando is being impossible. You know what I mean? He's doing all this stuff he's not supposed to do.
I heard about that. I heard he's very difficult. He's very, very difficult to work with.
He's crazy difficult to work with. Francis Ford Coppola is the director. His wife shot most of the footage for the documentary, and it was funny because at one point you'll see 100 days, 200 days of shooting. And,
what? Wow, that's a lot.
And I remember, because everything was going wrong and everything, and I remember at one point Francis Ford Coppola saying, we don't even have an ending. I don't even know how this thing's going to end, because he didn't have the ending really, written or something. And when you said about the movie that fades to black, you reminded me of when Francis Ford Coppola didn't even know how the movie was going to end, like while he was shooting it. And, and the conditions, of course, were difficult. I mean, the environment and everything. I mean, then they had to deal with the government because they had to have permission to shoot there and everything. And
this wasn't Apocalypse Now, was it?
That's what I'm saying. Apocalypse. That's what I said. Apocalypse Now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The whole thing. It's about the making of Apocalypse Now and how difficult it was, and how much. I mean, it's truly, like I said before, if you watch the movie, it's almost like the movie is more interesting than Apocalypse Now. Like what really happened in making Apocalypse Now was as interesting as the actual movie, Right.
I mean, I like the movie, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I know what you're saying behind the scenes. And
it was like, wow.
Like the Warriors director's cut.
Right. It's like the ultimate, behind the scenes, documentary on making a movie. Yeah, the Warriors is interesting. There's a lot of interesting trivia about the Warriors. Like for instance, with the Warriors, when they shot some scenes that were supposed to be, I guess, in Harlem, and they had like street signs saying what street they were at. In New York City at night. They didn't want to shoot at the actual street because they thought it was too dangerous. So what they did was
I remember that.
They relabeled lower street numbers with higher numbers to pretend that they were like in this more dangerous neighborhood because they just didn't want to film there. They were nervous about filming there because of like the camera equipment and the actors and the insurance and whatever else they would need. So they just filmed on lower blocks and they put higher number signs up.
No, I hear you on that. And I was reading, if you go on YouTube or something about that, and supposedly there's one thing where Swan swings a bat, but he accidentally hits Deborah Van Walkenburg in the face or the head, and she had to get like so many stitches, and she had a little scar on her face from that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's using real bats. So they missed her, the choreography was off or something, and boom, she got hit, and it's like, holy, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, wow.
And if you ever look, look at the deleted scenes on YouTube. Look at the deleted scenes from the Warriors on YouTube, and thank God they were deleted because the movie would have been horrible if they left it in. They were like, oh my God.
Listen, you just reminded me. If you get the DVD of Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters from 1984, there are like 10 deleted scenes, and those deleted scenes are so horrible, just like what you just said. Those scenes are so horrible, you think to yourself, thank God they deleted them. And you think, how could these same people, Ivan Reitman and Bill Murray and Dan Ackroyd, how could they have even filmed those scenes? Like how could the same people that made the rest of the movie even have been the ones to write these scenes and act in these scenes? It's so shocking, and it's like one of those times where you watch the deleted scenes and you think, it's so great that they took those out. I mean, it would have been horrible if they left those in, So yeah, it's funny, yeah.
No, I hear you on that. But then if you ever get the director's cut of the Warriors, Walter Hill, he wanted to make it like a cartoon type thing, and there's one where Swan's walking in a movie version, but then it goes into a cartoon, a comic still, and with a bubble around the head with text in it. And I'm like, and this is the director's cut of Walter Hill. And I said again to myself, thank God this cut was not the actual movie. Between that and the deleted scenes I saw, I'm like, this would have been a horrible, horrible movie. It wouldn't have been called classic if it had it. But again, as a friend of mine said, he likes scenery in movies, so he got me into scenery, like where it was filmed, especially if it's like in a beautiful place, like, the countryside, or like Utah or something. But he also told me how camera angles can also be the plot and the star of the movie and actually make the movie, like the camera angles in The Warriors. You had split screens. You had Lynn's iPad. You just showed her mouth with the microphone, and she was doing the play-by-play of the gangs in between songs. She was a radio DJ. I thought that was all kind of cool the way they did that, and just the music and everything. And that was pretty cool. Same thing with Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror, the way it was filmed made it like this cult classic, and just the way it felt, again, made it the star of the movie. And another one was The Doom Generation with Rose McGowan and Jonathan Shaker. Another one with the camera angles. My friend's like, watch the camera angles on it. I'm like, dude, you were right about the camera angles. It made the movie. It's like, so some people may not like that. Some people may. Some people are into movies like me and you and, whoever else. And some people just watch a movie and say, oh, it was a cool movie. And, they don't look at the angles. They don't look how it was shot. They don't look where it was shot. They don't look like, like things like we would look at. So, I mean, so I like difference. I like quirky stuff. I mean, a lot of Tim Burton movies are shot quirky like that. I mean, Edward Scissorhands was a great movie, but just the way it was shot, and Mad Max, the first two Mad Maxes, the feel of it, the way it was shot like an independent movie. Like some people were just making a movie and put it out, and that they had that feel to it, and it really avant-art type of weird feel to it, and that's what I liked about the first two Mad Max movies. And then it got commercial after that, and I was like, the third one wasn't too crazy about.
Mad Max, I mean, that was pretty low budget. I mean, that was pretty much, they were just filming all over Australia, wherever they could find, I mean, that was, that was, when they did the first one, a pretty low budget movie. But the cinematography, obviously the cinematography can do a lot in terms of setting the tone and telling you things about the story and telling you the story. I always love the cinematography. It's funny because, one of the most amazing cinematographer, in terms of directors who executed ridiculous feats of cinematography is Brian DePalma. If you look at Brian DePalma's movies, he does shots that are continuous shots that you have no idea how he did it as a continuous shot. No cuts. I mean, the camera follows. I mean, in Goodfellas has a classic shot like that, too. And even the opening of the new James Bond movie has an uncut shot. But there's a lot of, really amazing cinematography in movies.
This concludes another broadcast of Phone Talk Radio. Thank you for listening.